Correct.
Huh. So it was like a monthly thing. The states were supposed to chip in and pay King George his stuff.
Mm-hmm. It was a yearly thing, and guess what the due date was on the debt?
What?
November 5th.
Oh, really? V for
Guess what happens around November 5th every 4 years?
V for Vendetta, right? November.
Yes.
What happens every 4 years on November 5th?
Right around that time, that's presidential election day.
Oh, yeah. Well,
to elect a new president to preside over the bankruptcy of the United States of America.
That's curious. So that's the Treaty of Paris. So are you then saying that this terra firma that we call, I don't know, that area that was involved in the Treaty of Paris to this day is still owned by the United Kingdom or the Bank of England or whoever is running the show now?
No, they still have the land grant here, but they have put the nation into a position where it's now a debtor nation.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a more universal principle that applies, and that is the borrower is slave to the lender.
So we the people are paying this note today?
That's correct.
Mm-hmm.
It's very interesting, the definitions. Can I give you one that actually shocked me when I found it?
Sure.
Because I don't make this up. I mean, I'm just telling you what's in it. It actually surprised me because I had lived 40 years of my life thinking that I was free when I was reading words that were telling me, like this one, that a constitutor is one who by simple agreement becomes responsible for the payment of another's debts.
The constitutor?
Yes.
And what makes one a constitutor?
When you have agreed to pay someone else's debts.
Oh, I see.
And that would be, like in the United States, would be the 14th Amendment, where as a United States citizen or an American, you cannot dispute the debt. And I want to clarify that, too, about the word American, because in Black's Law, it says that American is of or pertaining to the United States. So there are no two separate positions.
They're the same.
They're all the same.
Well, just for the record, when someone asks you, David Williams, are you a United States citizen? What do you say?
No, I'm not.
Are you an American?
No.
Are you a sovereign?
I am. In the course of doing this, I became an ambassador for another jurisdiction.
Wow. We'll talk about that. So that's one of the things that you say is a remedy for protection?
What I say about it is exercise the same remedy to get out from under tyranny that those men exercised, which was to form a new government.
Not like a kind of restore America and that kind of stuff, new government. Tim Turner stuff.
Unless you have the right to reform it, you cannot reform it. You must form a new government. This is exactly what they said in the Declaration. They could not get the king to comply with the formations of the government. They became perverted, and therefore to get out from under the tyranny, they said, well, new governments are instituted among men to secure the rights to liberty, peace, safety, and happiness and property. So if that's what they had to do, then that was the remedy. And it's extant in all of their declarations and all their law that when men form a social compact, they are equal in rights. And when they don't form a social compact, they are not equal in rights.
I see. So what you're saying is when you say a new government, probably the first thing that comes to mind to all of us is the idea, well, we're going to get 300 million people and do a new United States. But you're just saying maybe get 25 or 50 people just like they did and get a new government, and then you actually have protection, or do you have protection then from the people who
yes, because you can sign on to treaties. What's interesting in their protocols is they allow you to sign on to these treaties very readily.
What treaties?
Without dispute.
What treaties would we
for instance,
say? Like if we got 50 people together, or you got, and then we had this new government, and why would we want to sign on to somebody else's treaty? What would be the benefit of that?
For recognition being things like the Vienna Convention on Diplomatic Immunity and the conventions on road travel, so that you print up your documents, you give the UN, you give other nations, like the good thing about the intergovernmental organizations or international organizations like what's called the Organization of American States, which is headquartered in D.C., is that it includes every nation from the United States down to the tip of South America and a lot of Caribbean nations. And if you give them notice that you have formed a new state and that you're going to now self-govern, they will then, you can send that to the Secretary General. His job is to notify all the rest. You don't have to. So they will notify all the nations that we have a new nation wanting to join with us in treaty and agreement, and it's put out there that the protocol is 6 months. If there's anyone who has a reservation, they have to state it within 6 months.
Now, as you know, there is a community out there loosely called the Patriot Community, right? Started, I don't know, many years ago. The Republic of Texas is one, and they've gotten a lot of hits over the years, and there's all kinds of people that are studying stuff with TalkShoe and, the Winston Shrouts and Creditors in Commerce, and you know what I'm saying. You know all these people. Meanwhile, they all... And there's been a lot of different documents flying around the last 20 years, right, to say I'm free, I'm not a citizen, I'm sovereign, and blah, and all this. Are you saying that, as well-meaning as all these things are, that where you really want to go is to get diplomatic immunity by doing it the same way the people in the Constitution, what the Constitution did, the 55? Is that a fair idea that I'm saying?
Well, that's what they did. See, here again, if international law was not important, why did they mention it in the Constitution? I've been on other radio programs, Patrick, and I'm really enjoying this conversation and your ability as a host. But my thing about going up, say, on a debate with someone who claims to be a constitutional expert, and I've done this for a long time now, is the first question I ask is, have you read the Law of Nations?
Mm-hmm. And where was that mentioned? Right in the Constitution, David?
Yes, in Article 1, Section 8.
Can you read that to us? Where that was? How it comes in context?
I think it's about the 8th line down or 13, something like that. It says these are the powers of Congress. The powers of Congress were such that they could do post offices and post roads and collect impost duties, fees, and taxes, and define and punish piracies on the high seas and violations of the law of nations. I'm sorry, I actually had the wrong word. It's offenses in the Constitution. I don't have it up in front of me.
Oh, you don't have it in front of you. This is all by memory. Okay.
Yes, I haven't had anything in front of me since we started.
Okay, tell us about the law of nations. That'd be a good place to go. And once again, let me invite the listeners in. More are coming in and listening. 888-663-6386. If you'd like to ask this gentleman a question or emails, we'll take them. Patrick at oneradionetwork.com. We're live here May 31st, 2010. And before we go back, maybe David would agree sometime. Maybe we'll get a constitutional quote-unquote expert or authority on sometime together with David and have a little debate, and I would referee it. Would you be into doing that sometime, David?
Absolutely.
That'd be fun. That'd be fun.
I don't say this it's not arrogance for me. It's black ink on white paper, and this is important. Many people are going to prison. One just happened recently that got 9 years for claiming rights on this document that he did not have.
Claiming rights on the Constitution?
Yes.
Like what? What did he claim, and what did he claim?
That he was sovereign and that he was one of the people. And he then came back and sued the judge and did a lot of things where he had no rights to do it because the judges have immunity under that Constitution. And
wait a minute, let me stop you there. The judges have immunity under the United States Constitution?
Yes, because the judges, the Constitution, it says when they said we conform the laws, and this Constitution and all laws which shall be made in pursuance thereof, one of the laws that they passed is that the judges have immunity.
Where does it say that?
It's in their codes.
In their what?
It's in the codes that they passed, the rules and laws that they passed after they did the Constitution.
I see.
I don't have it specifically in front of me, but the judges and prosecutors are immune. I mean, this is in case law as well. See, any laws passed after this, including the case law, because case law actually becomes the basis for common law. Go read the word common law in the dictionary and find out what it means. Common law came from case law. So if the case law in your country